ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ। पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वाम् अनुसन्दधामि। भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। My namaskars to you all. We had completed this 12th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the last class. So here, this name of this chapter, the 12th chapter, is Bhakti Yoga. And here two important things what we saw in this chapter. So here in the very beginning, in the sixth verse, before to that, there is a simple query of Arjuna regarding a devotee who is a worshipper, who is the bhakta, and the one who is dedicated to the Aksharam Avyaktam. So we can say a fairly Gyani or something like that, if we have to classify in this way. At least Arjuna start like that with a comparison. Bhakta satata yukta ye bhakta tvam pariyupasate. Pari-upasate, that is pariyupasate. And ye chapyaksharam avyaktam tesham ke yoga vittama. Who has understood or who has got the secret of yoga very well. That was Arjuna's query or curiosity. So who does it better? Etc. Now, these things, this very character of the individual, very fundamental disposition of the individual, so it is not a calculated, well-weighed decision. It is not like that. That because one of these two things is better, that's why one chooses to do that. It is not like that. So the predominantly the what path one must choose of bhakti or jnana must be corresponding to the very constitution and character of the individual, and that is what is better for him. So most of the time what we see in the literature, path of jnana is discouraged. Not very many literature we will find that jnana is being extolled about, and bhakti is rather given a choice. Here also Gita also does that. So the person who is Bhagwan says here, like in second verse he says, Mai aveshya mano emam nitya yukta upasate shraddhaya paraya upeta te me yukta tamamata. So whichever is the candidate, if he has confined his mind altogether in me, Mai aveshya, and who are steadfast in their upasana, nitya yukta, they are with shraddha, meaning that it is not dead mechanical ritual. Shraddhaya paraya. So paraya shraddha is there. Paraya means then shraddhaya paraya. So because here in Sanskrit language, so adjective has to be exactly like the term it is qualifying. So that's why para, that is shraddhaya, that is in third case. That's why para also comes in the third case, which is both are in feminine gender, paraya. Upeta, that is who are endowed with that. Upeta, who are endowed with this para shraddha, the supreme shraddha. And shraddha is something more than just faith and belief. Shraddha is not, how much regard and respect you have. Shraddha, there is one element, and especially if in my this younger days means because in sadhu life, here especially in Ramakrishna order, so age of 45 is nothing. They will term you as kids. 45 means तुम बच्चा हो, कुछ नहीं जानता अभी तक. 60 साल हुआ मतलब ठीक है. All right. So my means many years back when I was brahmachari, so I was very seriously about thinking about what exactly is this Shraddha. So the way I understand it is, now Brahman is sarvavyapta, it is everywhere, omnipresent. Wheresoever your Shraddha is, means that Brahman, that consciousness, that Godhead becomes as if more alive in that particular relation, and you have Shraddha. So Shraddha must be qualified with this manifestation of divinity. You might be worshipping a murti, you might be that Shraddha to a certain place, that as soon as you reach the place, your mind as if that pool of consciousness, it is like spilling over. And you can vibrantly, you can feel that, you can realize that it is not feeling means it is not just the mental state, though the state is felt in the mind, but it is not the concoction of your mind. So Shraddha is this idea, and with this Shraddha, that your implicit belief, this faith into this, that this is Brahman. So when that with that Shraddha, that any relation meaning that any upasana of your Guru, Ishta, etc. you are doing, it will manifest into more and more this intervention of ignorance will become more and more sparse. This is what something which makes individuals very steadfast and dedicate and devote and sacrifice anything wherever they have this Shraddha. It becomes incredibly divine. So some murti which is made up of a black stone, it might not be divine to someone else, but it is divine for the person who has this Parashraddha. Now, so Shraddha. So Bhagavan says, regardless of a devotee or a Jnani. So though Gita does not distinguish like that, but Arjuna puts the question in that way. So what Bhagavan is saying, that whosoever has achieved this state of mind, that steadfastness and the confinement, that concentration of his mind into me alone, endowed with this Parashraddha, and he says that person is indeed the great Yuktatama. That person has realized the yoga. He is the supreme yogi, Yuktatamaha. Yukta means yogi. So I have always emphasized the meaning of yoga or yukta very clearly. The way the what it means employing and engaging your mind. So there is deliberateness in the yoga. So means mind becomes the objective. The mind becomes the object which you put to work, which you engage. When you achieve that, then you have achieved the yoga. So, but he makes a remark, and this has been always the sadhus and the great souls. They have advised individuals according to the nature and character of the inquirer. Who is the inquirer? So here also Bhagwan makes this remark, and probably for Arjuna, and keeping in Arjuna in view for many of us and most of us. So he says that whosoever is worshipping Aksharam Anirdeshyam Avyaktam, which is Sarvatra Gama Achintyam Cha Kutastham Achalam Dhruvam. So these people also, they reach me. Sanyemendriya Gramam Sarvatra Samabuddhaya Te Prapnuvanti Mameva Sarva Bhuta Hiterata. The Lakshana of the Jnanis in the 3rd and 4th chapter. The devotee who is dedicated to worshipping the Nirgun Nirakar aspect of the divine. But he says, he makes the person who is so much attached to the body, Deha Vadbhi Avapyate. For such a person, Klesho Adhiktaras Tesham Avyakta Sakta Chetasa. So for such a person who is not able to transcend this or come above this identity with the body, for such a person, this path be very difficult. It will be very difficult. Klesha. There is adhika klesha. Klesho adhiktara tesham. To such person, tesham, there would be great klesha. Klesha is translated as what you say, the pains. There is a great trouble. So it is not of a very comfortable way. It is not a natural way for such an individual. Okay. Dukkha, that is sorrow or misery. So, but now this major, the important portion of this Bhagavad Gita starts from this 6th chapter onward, and here Bhagavan introduces Ananya. He uses this word, so not to consider it something very technical, but for the subject of discussion, we can refer to this part or this idea as Ananya Yoga, and it is in consonance with the idea what he put in the second verse. Maya Veshya Mano Emam Nitya Yukta Upasate Shraddhaya Parayopeta Teme Yukta Tamamataha. So here that idea he puts, that ye tu sarvani karmani mahi sanyasya matparaha ananyena yogena mam dhyayanta upasate teshamaham samuddharta mrityu sansara sagarat bhavami nachirat partha mayaveshita chetasam. So this complete absorption of mind into the divine. So this is the epitome, this is the realization of the practice of the sadhana. So this Ananya Yoga, if we may call it in that way, by this term, so the person who has achieved it, and whosoever has not yet, so Bhagwan has given these step downs one by one. If you cannot do that, then you do this. If you cannot do that even, then do this. Even if you cannot do even that one, then do this, etc. So ultimately he says that all this you cannot do, then sarva karma phalatyagam. So this is the last thing he said, and then he goes on this narration of what is the state of mind and what becomes of those individuals who reaches that state, who perfect that Ananya Yoga. And these verses number 13 to then until 19th, we see these beautiful verses, the set of verses. So they appear to talk about the character and behavior of the individual, what become of them. But as I put it earlier, so this is more like a meditation on Brahman itself, the state of the jnana itself. So this is the devotee who has, so in reality there is no difference between what you call devotion and knowledge. So Gyani and Bhakta. So in earlier chapters also, 9th chapter especially, Bhagwan has again and again he has said that. So the person who is devotee, who is jnani, and he is the most dear to me. For example, verse number, this is 11th chapter, let us go to 9th chapter. 9th chapter. Ninth chapter, 7th chapter, you will find these verses. Maya tatamidam sarvam. So idea of this Ananya Bhakti is continues flowing from these verses, 7th chapter. So here also in the 22nd verse, Ananyaschintayanto mam e jana paryupasate tesham nityabhyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyam. If you see the verse in this 12th chapter, very similar, teshamaham samuddharta mrityu sansara sagarat bhavami nachirat partha mayaveshita chetasam. like this verse. Tesham jnani nitya yukta eka bhaktir vishishyate priyo hi jnanino ityartham aham sacha mama priya. This verse, 17th verse from the 7th chapter. So what Bhagavan is saying, that there are different kinds of devotees. Here he especially means 4. Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukrituno Arjuna artho jignasu artharthi jnani cha bhartarshava. So these are artha, jigyasu, artharthi and jnani. These are the 4 types of devotees. They worship me. But he says tesham jnani nitya yukta. Among them the jnani which is nitya yukta eka bhaktir vishishyate. So he is jnani and he is devotee. He has this one pointed devotion, and that devotee is he is very dear to me. Priyo, he priya, this word is used. So priya, this word, try to understand it. Like dear, we use it like anything. So priya, this word is used very sparingly in Sanskrit. Even our vernacular languages, priya, this word is not to be used everywhere. So priya is something which is your beloved. So something, or if something is at par, and then only priya word is used. Otherwise there are different other words to express your appreciation, liking to any other thing, any other person, etc., etc., to the world. Priya, this word is used sparingly, not everywhere. Like we use dear in the English language. Everything is dear. Okay. Dear sir, dear madam, dear. Okay. So not that way. So here Bhagavan says that jnaninaha, he is priya. Indeed, he is priya to me. Ityartham, therefore, and aham sacha mama priya. He is dear to me and I am dear to him. Tesham jnani nitya yukta eka bhaktir vishishyate. So this idea, so even the next verse, the 18th verse, what does he say? Udara sarva eva ete jnani tu atmaiva me matam. So all devotees are udaraha, they are great minds. Great minds. But he says, jnani tu atmaiva me matam, he is myself only. He is like my own self. Jnani tu atmaiva me matam astita sahi yuktatma mameva anuttamam gatim. This is it. So the way Bhagavan puts it, okay. But Arjuna brings it in a different way. So here, now when this state Bhagavan is explaining from verse number 13 with verses starting from Adveshta Sarva Bhutanam. So this I was explaining, and this I was telling you, that this is the meditation on the state of mind of the individual who has become one with the Brahman. Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati. The state of that Brahmavid is Brahman itself. So this is meditation on Brahman itself. How does Brahman manifest? How does one, when realized, will manifest in the world? So these are these verses from 13 to 19. Adveshta Sarva Bhutanam, etc. So in last there were these verses 18 and 19. Samashatraucha mitrecha tatha manapamanayoho शीतोष्ण सुख दुखेशु समसंग विवर्जितः तुल्यनिंदा स्तुतिर्मौनि संतुष्टो येन केनचित् अनिकेतः स्थिरमति भक्तिमान में प्रियो नरः. So who would be very dear to me? And he says in this way. So this idea, when put, simulate that life, that state of mind, and you are meditating on the Brahman itself. Advaita in the Vyavahara. Advaita, Vedanta becoming practical in day-to-day life. Samha Shatraucha Mitrecha. tatha manapamanayoh. The one person who becomes equanimous to Shatru and Mitra in insult and praise, manapamanayoh, mana and apamanayoh. The manapamanayoh, because it is in dual term, that's why this yoho, this word is coming, this suffix is coming. So that's why Shatru and Mitre, because Mitra is Napunsak Linga, Mitram, Mitre, Mitrani. In this way, like Phalam, Phale, Phalani. That's why in dual numbers, Mitra becomes Mitre, Shatrau, Sama Shatrau cha Mitre cha, because Shatru, Shatrau, Shatravaha, in this way. Shitoshna, Sukha Dukkheshu, Shita and Ushna, Sukha and Dukkha. So in this dualities, that person is Samaha, of equanimous mind. He is not perturbed by it. Which mind will not be perturbed by it? For whom this duality does not exist. He is not perturbed by it. Who does not mind it, is not affected by it, he does not count it, he does not take it seriously. He sees that one single, coherent substratum of all these dualities, that one without any division, that infinite, avikari, avichal, kutastha Brahma. So he sees that only. And apart from that, he doesn't need to count or give importance to anything of all this misnomer, all this illusion, whatever may be happening. He knows it is that Brahman alone. Brahmarpanam Brahmahavi, Brahmagno Brahmana Utam. So he sees that Brahman alone is intermixing like waves into that ocean of Brahman. So therefore, this conflicting dualities, Shatru and Mitra, Mana and Apamana, Shita and Ushna, Sukha and Dukkha, they are just the variation, the expression of that same consciousness. That one underlying consciousness which remain unaffected, unchanged in all these variations. And therefore, with these things, how can there would be any attachment? They become unreal for him. Sama Sangha Vivarjitaha, completely Visheshanaha Varjitaha, he has become bereft of any attachment to this world, to the manifoldness of this world. So, similarly, Tulya Ninda, so Stuti, Ninda, they are both Tulya to him. He is Mauni, doesn't express, doesn't talk too much. Santushta, very contented being. Because why he need to talk? Talking is unnecessary. And by whatsoever means, whatever happens, he is Santushta. Aniketa, he does not take something as his abode, rest, or rest upon anything in this world, rest assured upon anything, of the person, of the instance, of the place. Nothing he calls his home. Nothing he calls his home. So this is not, you do not have home. Being homelessness is a virtue. It is not extolled here in this way, that he doesn't call anything his home. Home is something where you go for protection, shelter, living off, warding off all your worries, all your tensions, where you take a breath of respite and feel very comforted, cushioned, protected. He doesn't call anything his home. He is always everything is the world, and his real abode is that Brahman, that consciousness alone. So nothing of this world is his home. Aniketaha. So that's how he has attained his steadiness of the mind, Sthiramatir. And this is the state of his bhakti. So this is the Bhaktiman who has attained this state. And Bhagavan says, he is dear to me. Bhagavan says, to become dear to Bhagavan, too much cost. Very difficult. Very difficult to become dear to God. So that's why we sometimes, when somebody passed away, we say, he has become dear to Bhagwan ko pyara ho gaya. So, as good as dying. तो भगवान को प्यारा होना इतना आसान नहीं. It's very difficult. And this is the cost. This is being this expected. So, here this chapter is concluded. Etu dharmya amrutam idam. Dharmya amrutam idam. Yatha uktam pariupasate. Shraddha dhana mat parama. With the shraddha and wholly oriented towards me. Meaning that consciousness, that Godhead, mat parama, that those all devotees are very dear to me. Now, here, this 13th chapter begins. So, in the beginning there is one chapter in the verse. So many people doubt that this verse is lateral, this later induction. So it does not belong to the Bhagavad Gita as it is. There are even opinions that whole 13th chapter itself is inducted into Bhagavad Gita later on. Even that may be possible. So apart from that, but the content of the 13th chapter, they look very contemporary to the whole narration of the Gita. That is another case. And in such, 13th chapter is considered very important next to the Jnana Yoga. Kshetra Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yoga. The discrimination of the Kshetra and Kshetrajna, the knower of the Kshetra. Kshetra, from this word, the Ksha has become Kha in many places due to the absence of Sa. So from this Kshetra word comes the word Khet. Khet. This word has come from this word Kshetra. So Kshetra means field. Kshetrajna, the one who knows the Kshetra. So here idea is whole of this Prakriti is called as the Kshetra, and Kshetrajna is therefore the Purusha. So this 13th chapter so there is this verse that Arjuna Uvacha. So Maharaj has not given us the number because Maharaj has written a note here that this verse is omitted in many editions. It is not there in many editions. So why would somebody do that? Because to make the exact number of the verses of the Gita to 700. Because it was without that it was becoming 699. So anyhow. And here what? There is nothing much which changes the content of the chapter or meaning or tone of the chapter. So Arjuna says, Prakrutim Purusham Chaiva Kshetra Kshetrajnam Evacha Etad Veditum Ichchami Jnanam Jneyam Cha Keshava. So what is Prakruti and what is Purusha? What is Kshetra and what is Kshetrajna? So this I want to know. Etad Veditum Ichchami. This is my desire. I want to know this. And please, this Jnana, the knowledge of this, please you give to me, He Keshava. This is Arjuna's statement. So here the first verse. Now here question comes, because I have always said that see, this Gita is a narration. Gita is a narration. It's a story that is going on, unfolding, developing between these two people, Krishna and Arjuna. So whenever there is a track change, so we must stop there and think what must have prompted one to think about something else, whether for the Arjuna or whether for the Krishna. Why did Arjuna put up some question like that? Why did Krishna speak like that? So what was he thinking? And in the course of this understanding of this discussion, it becomes pretty clear and pretty evident. Now here this 13th chapter, why it must come after the 12th chapter? So this link looks like it stretches far. This is also one of the reasons people to think that this is interpolation. This is interpolation. Maybe, and it would have been the concrete evidence if this text would have been something replicated elsewhere. Then you could have very clearly say that this is later induction. However, but as old as we go, we do not have any evidence of any Gita which is without this chapter. There is no Gita. Even Shankaracharya does not have that. So at that time, the oldest kind of people, even Anandagiri and all that, they did not have any Gita without this 13th chapter. So very difficult to say. Howsoever, we have to take on this so even if it whatsoever the case may be, but it is for the long time. So if that is true, if Bhagwan has started talking about the Kshetra and Kshetrajna, so there could be, what could be the explanation there? So when Bhagwan is talking about this state of the mind, I have also pointed you out earlier that many times it has been seen when Bhagwan, Sri Krishna, he is going in sorts of waves with ups and downs. So like his mind soars high in the sky into the realms of, the infinity, and then he again comes down to the practical of the Vyavhara. And again something prompts his mind, and again he flies high, goes very high, and again he comes down. So it is because we see as if their Sthita Prajna Lakshana is there, then immediately speaks about the Karma Yoga. It has happened many times. So this is also one instance. It will happen still further in the 14th chapter, at the end of 14th chapter, etc. So here when Bhagwan is talking about that ultimate state of the mind a devotee achieved due to this Ananya Yoga, and that complete separation that individual has achieved in his mind of this consciousness and this duality, and he sees distinctly and he does not intermix it at all. So therefore this idea of this Prakriti and Purusha, or the Kshetra and Kshetrajna. So Bhagavan says, Bhagavan is answering, Idam Sharira Kaunteya Kshetram iti abhidihiyate etad yo vetti tam prahu kshetrajna iti tadvidaha. So idam, this shariram, this deha, this body, he Kaunteya, O the son of Kunti, kshetram iti abhidhiyate, this is known as kshetram. This is the field. This is the field. It is known as field. Abhidhiyate is known by this name, abhidhiyate. Etad yo, the whosoever knows this, that person prahu is known as kshetrajna. So know this truth. Iti tadvidaha. You wanted to know? Know in this way. This body is called as the field, and the one who knows it, which is of the object of knowledge of someone, that someone is called as kshetrajna, the knower of the field. Kshetra and kshetrajna. So there is something which is object of the knowledge, and which is always another case, which is the subject knower. So there are these distinction between knower and the known. Kshetra and kshetrajna. Kshetrajnam chapimam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. Kshetra kshetrajna yorjnanam yattadjnanam matamama. So he says this distinction therefore. So I am the kshetrajna, I am the knower in all cases, in all fields. Whatsoever is embodied, whatsoever has come into an existence, I am the knower of it. I am that consciousness pervading everywhere, sentient, insentient, anything. I am that. And therefore he says, this distinction of this knowledge of distinction between kshetra and kshetrajna, not to intermix one with another. And this is the real knowledge. This is my opinion. Because all our trouble begins with this intermixing, taking one thing for our other, adhyasa, taking rope as snake, and your tribulations, your trepidation of heart starts. Isn't it? On one thing, there is a clear-cut data, you unnecessarily interpret in your own personal way, and your trouble begins. You impose all your creations of your mind upon that data. We have this bad habit. Even just taking this idea into our day-to-day life, many our troubles would end if we stop doing that, unnecessarily interpreting it. We become very happy or unhappy due to it. And when we invest into it and erect these mansions of our emotion upon it, and when that some very ground assumption is shaken, no, it is not like that. So you come to a great sorrow. Oh, I thought like that. Somebody meant like that. I thought I must get benefited, rewarded, or gain in this way. And that person, no, I didn't mean that. And then you become awkwardly very miserable. So that there is reality in the world, it exists as it is. And immediately seeing your prospects of becoming more happier, and you immediately start to construe this various, uh, structures of your emotions on the basis on that assumption, on the basis of that assumption. So this distinction, that kshetra and kshetrajna, that you know what it is, whatever that information, whatever that data, what it is, as it is, kshetra and kshetrajna. Bhagavan says that is the real knowledge. The person who has achieved this clear distinction, that person has got the knowledge. He has become the jnani. Yatta jnanam matamama. That jnanam is the real knowledge. This is my opinion. Tat kshetram yaccha yadrukcha yadvikari yatascha yat sajayo yat prabhavascha tat samasena meshruna. So that kshetram, that field, what it is, yatcha, whatever it is, yadrukcha, as it appears, what it is, how it appears, yadvikari, how it vikari, that is transforms, how it transforms or modify, yadvikari, and into what, yata shchayata, from where it comes and where it goes. So what is the cause and what is its effect? Sachayo yat prabhavascha, and what is its powers, or what it is influenced by. So all these things you listen from me in brief. Tat samasena me shrunu, that listen from me. Shrunu, listen. Me, from me. Samasena, in brief. Tat, all this, everything. So what is the kshetra, and what it is, how it appears, how it modify, from where that effect arises, and what is its cause, what is its influence by, yat prabhavascha, everything you listen from me. So next verse is Rishibhir Bahuda Gitam Chandobhir Vividhai Pruthak Brahma Sutra Padaishchaiva Hetu Madbhir Vinishchataihi. This truth has been sung by rishis. Rishibhihi means many rishis. Bahuda means various ways. Gitam, they have sung praises of this in chanda, in various meters. Chandobhir Vividhai, various, these meters. Pruthak, in different meters. Brahma Sutra Padaishchaiva, through many aphorisms and these verses indicating that Brahma, Hetu Madbhir Vinishchataihi, so full of reasoning and convincing. So this has been decided, determined by these various ways, that is the truth. And now Bhagavan goes on this explaining briefly something about this Sankhya philosophy, Sankhyan cosmology, so which Vedanta generally accepts. So what is the nature of this Prakriti, and therefore the Kshetra? So here in the two verses, Bhagavan says, Mahabhutani ahankaraha buddhihi avyaktam evacha indriyani dashaikam cha pancha indriya gocharaha ichha desha dvesha sukham dukkham sanghatas chetanadhrutihi etat kshetram samasena savikaram udavrutam. In these 3 lines, Bhagavan says, this is what kshetra is. I have told you along with the vikara, savikaram udavrutam, I have said. So what is the kshetra, what is to be known, what is the object of knowledge, is this much, that Pancha Mahabhutani, the great elements. Then he says, Ahankara and Buddhi. And this avyaktam is that Sankhyan cosmology holds that this Prakriti, there is this material cause and there is one energy. One is matter and one is the energy called as Akasha and Prana. They both originate from one substance called as Mahat. And Mahat itself originates from this one fundamental stuff called as Avyakta, unmanifested. So here Bhagavan is referring to that. Mahabhutani, 5 elements, Ahankara, Buddhi and Avyaktam. These are the things. Indriyani dashaikam cha, 10 karmendriya and jnanendriya, organs of knowledge and action, 10. And pancha indriya gocharaha. Indriya gocharaha are, gochara is whatever. Now this word is very interesting. The objects of the senses. Objects of the senses. So for the sense of the sight, the object would be whatever you can see. For the sense organ of listening, so objects would be whatever you can listen, etc., etc. This word gochara is Vishay. So this, understand this word gochara means, go means cows, chara means where they graze. So it is considered in this way that like your organs, sense organs, they are as if these cows and they go out and graze in these meadows which are called as sense objects. So whatever you can listen, whatever you can see, whatever you can taste, you can feel, whatever you can smell, feel means touch, feel by touch, whatever you can experience by touch and whatever you can smell. So these are their respective fields where these sense organs may go out and graze. So this is wonderful concept in Indian psychology, that they say that indriyas, these sense organs, as if they go out and they gather information and comes back. This is the idea. So gochara, so 10 indriyas, 10 sense organs and these 5 sense objects. These are the things. This is what Bhagavan is explaining Prakriti, and then Vikara are explained here. So Vikaras are Ichcha, desire, Dvesha, that is a aberration or hatred or dislike. Okay, Dvesha, Sukham, that is happiness. So first Ichcha is Kama, and this is Dvesha is which you do not like. So something you like was something which is desirable, the propensity of going towards something, attracting something, or getting attracted by something, Ichcha. Something is just opposite to it, that is the another faculty of repulsion. Sukham, that is getting something, and which is favorable to you, that is Sukham, and opposite to it is Dukkham, that is these fourfold faculties. So one is getting, so desire, Ichcha, and desire to get something, Dvesha, desire to not get something or to run away from something, and then the result, getting something or not getting something, or becoming favorable or unfavorable, Sukha or Dukkha. And this is called, another thing is called as Sanghatas Chetanaha. Sanghatas Chetana is, Sanghata is the aggregate, the body, Chetana is the intelligence. This Sanghatas Chetana is that all these different aggregate and which gives you this Buddhist talk about this idea, Sanghatas Chetana. They say this is misnomer. So, terming something as one, though it is separate, this is Sanghatas Chetana. So, okay. So, this is table. It is made up of few parts, but you always see it as one. Your body is made up of several different kinds of cells and different functions and different things. Many other outside things, but you learn to term these as one unit. Sanghatas Chetanaha. So, this is one, and Dhruti, that is the dharana, that you conceive an idea. So, Bhagavan says these are the vikaras in the Prakriti. This is the Prakriti, starting with Mahabhutani, Ahankara, and along with these are the vikara. Ichcha, Dvesha, Sukham, Dukkham, Sanghatas Chetana, Dhrutihi. These are the vikaras. Earlier is the Prakriti. Etat Kshetram Samasena Savikaram Udahrutam. Bhagavan says this is Kshetra and this is Vikara. This is the object of knowledge. This is to be known. I am the knower of everything. I know these things. I am knower in any case, any particle of creation. Whatever is to be known, it is known by me. I am that consciousness present everywhere. So, here we can stop. Here we will take the break. So, this chapter as it progresses and where these ideas becomes important, as we go from now, this 7th verse onwards, we will see. So, why these ideas are discussed here. Okay. So, this is the 13th chapter, Kshetra Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yoga, Trayodasha Adhyaya. So, we have come to the end of the 6th verse. Okay. We will touch it again in the next verse and then go forward. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.